Jake Smolarek. Really interesting man, Jake is. He's from Poland and he went to the United Kingdom when he was 19 years old, over 20 years ago with just about 130 pounds and wanted to start a business, wanted to go to one of the capitals of the world. And he was able just to do that. He found a mentor just sitting having tea with him one day. He said, start a business. And he looked around and saw scaffolding and said, start a construction business. He said, well, I know nothing about construction. And the advice that his mentor gave him of building systems, don't create a job for yourself, create a business. Many business owners just have a job that they've created. It's a very different reflection. And now Jake does coaching. He's got this GPS program, talks about vision, talks about what you should do with it. He's logged over 27,000 hours worth of coaching now, and he's had successful businesses from that construction company to marketing to PR to IT, and he over 1,600 clients he's had coaching, and it's just wonderful insights. And it's amazing when you're 19, when you're just a kid, and you go to a new country like that, how hungry you are. Very interesting perspective on discipline too. He calls it a muscle. I wonder if you've ever heard this perspective before, but I really enjoyed kind of my conversation with Jake. He's in London now. I look forward to eventually meeting him and having a cup of tea. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission? How do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Jake, it's pronounced Smolarek. Smolarek. Very good. Thank you for your time. What's the difference between a coach and a mentor?
Well, I think a coach is someone who's just giving you feedback and is helping and guiding you. And a mentor is someone who already done what you want to do. So that's
Ah.
that's that's the difference between a coach and a mentor. And by the way, a coach could be a mentor at the same time.
Hmm.
Like I'm a business coach or entrepreneur coach as well as life coach. But I can call myself a business coach because I already started quite a few successful companies, including non-profit organization. But at the same time, I failed quite a few times.
Hmm.
My companies, I had to liquidate my company, so I basically went bankrupt. So I can call myself both a coach and a mentor for some people.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow. I get to speak to a decent amount of coaches and therapists. And when I ask the difference, if I ask you, what's the difference between a coach and a therapist?
Very good question. My simple answer, and this is just my answer, maybe
Sure.
I'm not right, but therapy is mostly concentrating on the past and a little bit on the present, when coaching is concentrating mostly at the present and the future. It's in coaching, we ask the question, what do you want?
Mm,
You know, what's your vision? And then we can help you to get there. I created that business coaching model that I call it Vision GPS. Vision is something that you want to achieve. I call your destination, right? If you want to go from Chicago to New York, you know that your destination is New York, right? How you going to get there? It doesn't really matter. This is your destination, this is your vision, and the GPS, it's an acronym from goals, planning process, and systems. And if you have all of those three, I mean, obviously four, because you need to have a vision first.
mm.
If you might have the best GPS in the world, if you don't have a vision, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So first of all, you need to have a vision, you need to have a dream. You can call it however you want. And then if you have the GPS, goals, planning process, and systems, it will take you like the GPS in the car. It will take you there. It's almost like guarantee. But you must have all those four in place.
So, Jake, let's talk about vision. So, when we talk about vision, and sometimes core values come up, and a mission, a vision, mission, core values. These things are very important. What do you mean when you talk about vision in business and entrepreneurship?
I mean, vision is for your entire life. It's not just for the business. It's
Mm,
your entire life. So, what is it that you want? As cliche as it sounds, this is the most important question everybody should ask themselves
mm,
in life. Is like, what is it that you want? Because the vision will be different to every single person, right?
right.
My vision is different to your vision, as well as your vision today is completely different than your vision 20 years ago. It's basically, what is it that you want? What kind
Mm,
of life do you want to have? What kind of relationships do you want to have? What kind of kids do you want to have? What kind of a business do you want to have? Some people want to have a business, some people want to just have a good paid job. There's nothing wrong
mm,
with having a job if it's the job that you actually love, right? Most people, as you probably know, who try to be entrepreneurs, they fail because
mm.
they make lots of mistakes. Entrepreneurship, yes, it's fun, but at the beginning, it's hard work and it's very lonely.
Very lonely. I remember when I started my business in the 90s, my tech business, so many of my friends would say, "Oh, that's great. You started a business. It must be nice to have no bosses." I have more bosses than I've ever had in my life. Every one of my clients is a boss to some degree, the vendors, to some degree, the
Mhm.
employees. If you go into business not having bosses, it's kind of, you really got to rethink that. Next is goal in your GPS. Is a smart goal always the best goal?
Maybe not always, but yes, we want to have smart goals. More often than not, when I ask people about, do you have goals, they say like, oh yeah, I have goals. Are they smart goals? Well, have you ever heard about calling goals smart? And they say like, oh yeah, I heard about it. But then I say like, do you actually use it? Are your goals smart? And then they're like, well, not really, because yeah, as cliche as it sounds, your goals must be measurable. Because I always say most people don't have goals; they have wishes. I wish to
Mm,
lose some, like your story about losing weight, right?
mm, mm.
Um, if you want to be successful, everything is all about numbers. It's numbers game. If you want to lose weight, you have to know what's the amount and how long it's going to take you, because you have to measure it. If you cannot count, well, then not going to be successful.
Mm.
As they said, if it gets measured, it gets done. I think Peter Drucker say that, right? But that's
Truck.
true, because if you cannot measure your progress, you're not going to see it, and then you're probably going to give up. And most people give up, or most people are frustrated, or most people start to getting burnt out because they do not measure the progress. I'm
Mm,
sure you met loads of entrepreneurs who are frustrated or are saying, oh my god, I'm not successful yet. And then you have to say like, what the hell are you talking about? You already
mm,
succeeded, you did this and that, and you're way ahead than most people. But because they never stop and let's say smell the roses, like, and then see the progress, they just keep running and keep running. And that's good, working hard and working smart and making progress is great, but we have to measure the progress, at least from time to time.
And of course, when we say smart, we mean specific, measurable, accurate, realistic, timely. It's an actual acronym, right,
Correct.
Drucker, that you mentioned. Why is failure? Why should failure be reviewed and kind of reframed as feedback?
First of all, we have to understand what failure is.
Mm,
Because in my opinion, a failure is, if you want to say that someone failed, is basically someone stopped trying. That's
mm,
failure.
mm,
You just stop
mm,
trying. And sometimes I like to say we're using the wrong F word. It's
mm,
not failure, it's feedback. If you fail, you're getting loads of feedback. If you succeed, you also get some feedback. But nobody learns from success. We only learn from failing. Uh, well, people who fail and then they learn from failures, yes, that we learn from it, because I know some people who fail all the time, but they never learn the lesson.
mm,
They make, like, if you do something and you fail, it's a mistake. If you do exactly the same mistake again, that's not a mistake anymore, it's a choice.
mm. Yeah, Jake, people throw around the term lazy. To me, there's no greater insult because lazy means that you can do it, you just don't want to do it. And I think that's similar to what you're saying here. If you fail at something and then you do it again, that's completely on you.
That, well, it depends how we look at laziness. um, Most great inventions, they we created them, or humans created them, because we are lazy.
Hmm,
We don't want to use a donkey to go from Chicago to New York. We invented planes and cars. And so
that's
sometimes
interesting.
being lazy, there's nothing wrong with it. I know what you mean. You're talking about like people who like want something, and instead of having goals and dreams, they actually have wishes, right? That's lazy people. um, but sometimes being, sometimes I say to people, it depends how we talk about laziness, because sometimes doing less is more.
Mm,
Sometimes I personally know a lot of people who have massive to-do lists, and they will only do half of it or
hmm,
one third of it, and then they feeling like failures at the end of the day. And I said, like, no, 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 because you're trying to do too much. It's like with New Year's resolutions. Most people, they never achieve them because they're trying to do too many things at the same time. At the beginning of the year, 2nd of January, they want to lose weight and then grow the business and work on the relationship, get a dog, and then another 15 things, rather than concentrate on one thing at a time. This year I want to lose weight and I want to lose this amount, and I'm going to give myself not 2 weeks or 2 months, but I'm going to give myself 12 months,
hmm, hmm,
mm, to make it a little bit easier, right? Not everybody is as disciplined as maybe you and I, right? Because I am very disciplined, but I've been working on my self discipline for in the last 25 years.
hmm,
Because discipline is like a muscle, it takes time to build it. It's the same like with confidence. How you become confident? By doing things. You don't feel confident, but you do it anyway, and your confidence go up. It's the same with discipline, and your discipline go up.
hmm.
Um, so yeah.
The P in your GPS is planning. How do you coach planning to somebody?
It's planning process. So it's not a plan, it's a planning process. Sometimes
Mm,
people ask me, okay, so what's the difference between a plan and a planning process? Plan is fixed, a planning process is very flexible. So
hmm.
my P is from the book, The Art of War, by, oh my god, remind me
Sun
the
Tzu.
correct. So that's where the P is coming from. Because if you at war, you cannot just stick to a plan. You have to be very flexible, because you have to observe what's going on the field, right? You have to observe what the enemy is doing, and then you have to be very flexible about your next move. So that's why the piece for the planning process. Like, for example, a lot of people didn't know what to do when the pandemic came. Remember, suddenly we have to stay at home, we cannot go out, and the plan, you cannot follow the plan because you can't even leave your apartment.
Mm,
That's why planning process is so much better than just a plan, Be, a lot of people, when I spoke with some of my customers, they say like, "Oh, I tried so many things, and they didn't work out." I usually say like, "No, because you didn't stick to the plan or planning process
Mm,
long enough." Usually, any plan can be okay, good, okay, but you have to stick to it for this amount of time. You know the saying, overnight success usually takes about 7 to 10 years.
mm. And then systems. You have to have systems in place. What do you mean by systems?
There's an amazing book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, and he's talking a lot about systems. And systems can be as simple as, if you want to go to the gym tomorrow, prepare everything the day before,
Mm,
right? Because your motivation, and motivation is well overrated, discipline is way better. Your
mm,
motivation, it might be high today, but it could be low tomorrow, so you have to prepare. Like I own marketing agency, so we work with systems all the time. Search engine optimization is a system that works 24 hours.
mm,
Google ads or any paid ads are systems that work when you sleep, right? So there are different ways, there are different systems. But we have to have systems in place, because when the motivation or discipline go a little bit down, those systems are keep pushing us, helping us to keep going. But that's why also vision is so important, because when we have a vision and the motivation to go down, we all have bad days, right? I never met a person who would say like, oh, I never have a bad day. It's
mm,
just impossible. Your vision is like a north star. It will push you or pull you when you feel down, because you have something that you want to. It's like a stick and a carrot. Like you have something to chase. Funny
mm,
thing about vision is something that we chase, but we never catch it. Goals we achieve, but goals are part of the vision. Vision is something that you want to always have something in front of you. Like, look what happened to astronauts who will come from the space, or from the moon. They will land on Earth and they will get depressed, because like, what's next? Maybe
mm,
we can go to the Mars, but we don't have the technology. At least not yet. We close, but not yet. And they get depressed because there's nothing bigger than going to space or going to the moon at the moment, right? So we always want to have something bigger. That's why vision is so important. We all should have visions, and dreams, however you want to call it.
mm. So you're from Poland, Jake, and you went to the United Kingdom with 150 pounds when you're 19 years old, with full of energy and ready to go. Why did you make that move? And let's talk about why. Why make such a big move like that?
Well, Poland is a beautiful country now, and is really developed country. If you go to Warsaw, you will be like really surprised, because Warsaw looks like a smaller New York. But 20 years ago, not so much. And I just wanted to see the world. I wanted to learn languages. UK 20 years ago was a little bit different economy. It was like the top three economies or four economies in the world.
Mm,
So especially London. London is still, I call it London, one of the capitals of the world. I think London and New York are like two capitals
absolutely.
of the world, right? Everybody wants to come here. And when people ask me like, why London? Why do you want to go to London? Well, baby, that's where the money is.
Mhm. Yeah, it sure is. Who was the notorious bank robber in the 1800s in the United
That's
States?
correct. Yes, that's what
Yeah,
he was saying all the time. I
yeah,
can't remember the name, but he
yeah.
said like, "Why are you robbing banks?"
Yeah, Billy the
And
Kid.
like, that's yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Billy
so.
the Kid.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the money is.
Yeah, why do you rob banks? He goes, "Well, that's where the money is." Yeah.
Mm.
So you had 150 pounds. I heard a story how you just took a train and it took like 40 pounds, a third of your money was gone, but then you found a mentor and you started your first kind of new company just after over a cup of tea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember like today, I was sitting down with this guy who is a multi millionaire. How I found him, that's another story. But I managed to convince him to have a coffee or tea with me, and I said that like, hey, I want to be rich, I want to be successful. And then he said like, well, you have to start your own business, because if you want to be rich and successful and have a lot of freedom, you have to have your own business. And I said like, okay, what kind of a business? And he just we've been sitting in Mayfair, one of the most expensive areas in London and the world actually. Yeah, and he just have he looked around, he saw a scaffolding somewhere, and he said to me, "Just start a construction business." And I said, I know nothing about construction. And I remember like today, he paused and he said, "You must build systems. Don't create yourself a job. Create systems.
Mm.
Delegate everything to other people." And I remember that like today because it's a very important lesson, that don't create yourself a job. Most people who they think that they're running businesses, they don't really run businesses. They just have jobs without any holiday pay or vacation pay.
Mm.
And there's a beautiful book by Michael Gerber, the E Myth Revisited, right? And the E Myth, it's actually a shortcut from the entrepreneur myth, because most people, they don't really run businesses. They actually, they in mm, they it's like a trap,
Mm.
because they don't have freedom. They actually have to. They thought that if they're going to leave 9 to 5, they're going to have a lot of freedom. Now they have to work 24/7, because if you want to have a business, you have to create systems. The S from my Vision GPS, that will help you to have that freedom, because the real business, it's a place that you can be there, but if you're going to leave for the next 6 months and you're going away, your business will be still growing, or at least it's not going to go backwards.
So Jake, he one of his pieces of not really advice, but one of his kind of lessons is that you're going to file bankruptcy 3 times, and after the financial crash in the late 2000, you had to do that with a construction company, and you're looking for sympathy. But he actually congratulated you.
That's correct. I don't know where did you find those informations, but yes, I called Patrick, and I said like, "Listen, I have to liquidate the company. I have loads of debts. I have no idea what to do." And he said like, "Yeah, congratulations, you're on your way." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, the real businessman or businesswoman, they have to fail quite a few times, but again, it's not a failure; it's feedback, right?
Mm,
Now you're learning um, what not to do, right? You learning who to trust and who not to trust." And he's like, "Yeah, you will fail a few more times, and then you will be a very successful man." And actually, 6 months later, I already had the business back. We rebuilt the construction business. Yeah, it took us some time, but yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay, if it happens, it happens. Whatever it is, what it is, just start all over again.
mm. You've got a kind of coaching philosophy, Jake, where you say learn, practice, master, and then become a legend. How'd you arrive to that?
It's I always say there's a sequence to everything.
Mm,
If you want to call me, there's a sequence of numbers that you have to dial, and then I'm going to answer my phone.
mm,
It's like cooking a recipe. If you've never done this dish, if you've never been working on that recipe, first of all you have to learn the recipe. Then you have to practice the recipe. And then you master the recipe, and then you can change the recipe, right? Like Gordon Ramsay, for example, right? He's a master chef, and he can change recipes. He can play around because he knows how to do it. The problem is most people, they try to change the recipe straight away, and then they
mm,
fail, and then they
mm.
think like, "Oh, why did I fail? Because you didn't stick to the sequence." Right? Learn first. This is how legends are created. They doing actually boring stuff for many, many, many years. They training for many, many years, and then they go to Olympics, and then they win a gold medal. Because I'm not sure if I said it in any podcast, but I think there are three um, stages of winning a gold medal. And the gold medal is a metaphor. Whatever the gold medal is, something that you want to achieve. It's losing weight, building a business, having a great relationship. Doesn't matter. That's your goal. The gold medal. If you want to be a winner, if you want to win a gold medal, first of all, the first step from those three is to believe that you can.
Hmm.
And that's the most important thing, because most people, they don't really believe in themselves. They think that, like, they compare themselves like, oh, I can never be a Steve Jobs. Well, that, if you're going to compare yourself to someone like Steve Jobs or Richard
Mm,
Branson,
mm.
or like sharks from the Shark Tank, it's going to be, you are very tough on yourself, because you,
Unrealistic.
yeah, because you compare yourself, like if you're playing a video game, you compare yourself, you from level 1 to someone who is a level 1000.
Right.
But those people, they also been on the level 1 and 5 and 7 and 12, right? So first of all, the first step to win that gold medal is to believe that you can. You really have to believe it, that, like, yes, I can, and I'm willing to do the work, a lot of work, right? Then the second step in that formula is doing the work. And this step is the easiest. And because it is the easiest, because you just have to go to the gym for the
Mm,
next 5 years,
mm,
3 or 4 times a week, every week, 50
mm,
weeks in a year. It's
mm,
very simple to do it, very easy to do it. But because it is very easy to do, it is also very easy not to do. And
mm,
that's what most people skip. And then the step number 3 is to go into that Olympics and winning your golden medal. That's it. But if you're not, if you skip number 1 or you skip number 2, you're never ever going to win that golden medal. Never
mm,
ever. Although there's a sequence. First, you have to believe, because if you believe in yourself, you go to the gym, or metaphorical gym, right? Whatever it is, and you work really, really hard. Because again, the overnight success takes 5, 7, 10 years, sometimes even 20. Some people are a little bit more lucky, and they successful a little bit faster, and some people just average and they succeed in 10 years or 12 years, some people after 20 years. But if you stick to it, eventually you will succeed. Just don't give up. I'm not saying do not change your mind. I'm just saying, because usually your first business is not going to be successful business, right? Did I love my construction business? No, construction was never my thing. But
mm,
the first business doesn't really matter, because you're learning the the fundamentals. You're learning the basics. Like, you have to create a brand. You learn how to do marketing. You learn that you can be the best of the best in the business. If you don't have any clients, you're going to fail. Everything is up to lead generation at the end of the day.
So you've logged, Jake, at this point over 27,000 hours. You say over 1,600 clients. What's a very common, you know, habit that these people that you coach you have to break?
They think they don't have time.
Uh,
And I always have to say, I have to be very brutally honest, and I have to say, it's not that you don't have time, it's just not important to you. You have
right.
different priorities. Something that should be important to you is not important to you. Like, for
Mhm.
example, health, right? You're building the business, but you, you have to also remember that you only have one body, and you only live once. So make sure that you're taking care. I think it was Jim Rohn who said, like, this is a temple, not a woodshed.
Mhm.
Take care of it. And yeah, a lot of, especially entrepreneurs like yourself, they think they don't have time, which actually they have wrong priorities.
Mm. Yeah, it comes down to priorities and systems and sequences. Who won't you work with?
People who are not disciplined. Funny that
Uh,
we're talking about discipline.
yes.
Again, discipline is like a muscle. You can train it. But people who are, let's call them lazy, people who are not disciplined, or people who are like snowflakes, like, oh, this something happened to me, or when they say, like, oh, I wasn't born with a success chromosome or something like that. That's not true. In business, for example, every skill, I think it's Brian Tracy who's talking about it, every skill is learnable. If you
Mm.
want to have a business, you can learn any skill.
Your approach, Jake, to coaching, to running business, I'm going to say just generally in life, I'm going to just reach out here and say it's more science than art. Is that accurate?
What do you mean exactly?
So science, when you okay, so I play golf, okay, and so I'm 150 yards out. light wind. I got a decent lie. Pin is back. I just had a good stroke. So all the science tells me I should use a 7 iron. But I asked myself, but you know what? I just don't think it's going to get there. I use my gut a little bit, and I use my gut, and I say I'm going to go to a 6. So I let it kind of override it. So
Sure.
science is pure measures, pure numbers, but then art would be more asking your gut. When you make these kinds of decisions and the way you approach coaching, is it more science than art?
It's probably, yeah, it probably it is. I am a science guy,
Yeah, I could tell.
because I met with a potential client the other day, and she was talking about manifesting things. Like, remember the
Mm.
book and the movie The Secret, right?
Yes, yes.
The problem with that book, and with that movie, is that they only concentrating on one small thing when the sequence is big. It's not just the law of attraction. But the law of attraction doesn't work just that you only manifest. You also have to work, and you have to do many other things. Yes, the law of attraction is great, but we have to understand that this is how our brain operates. Our
Mm,
brain operates on focus, on making decisions, sticking to those decisions, and having smart goals, knowing exactly what we want, like we were talking, just a few minutes before. Because once we give our brain specific goal, the brain will help us to achieve it. If we tell our brain, hey, I want to manifest being slim and healthy, our brain is like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because there's no numbers, we can't measure it. But yeah, so answering your question, yes, I am more science guy, and gut guy, because, well, but gut, it's actually a science, anyway, right? Because,
is it?
yeah, because it's your gut is basically all of your experiences
Mm,
in one place, telling you that you actually want to do something or not. Like,
mm,
sometimes when I have initial consultation with people, which is completely free, they come to me for sometimes even 2 3 hours, we talk about it, and they want to, and I would ask, like, okay, would you like to go ahead if I really like them and I want to work with them, for example.
mm,
But it's not
mm,
only with coaching, with any business. It's a sales conversation, right? I'm trying to convert them into a client, and they have to say, like, well, let me think about it. But the truth is, you already made the decision.
mm,
uh, but if you want to think about it, there's one or two obstacles, usually money, right?
mm,
Usually money, because you already know, your gut feeling is telling you straight away, like, oh, I would love to buy this, oh, I would love to work with this person, right? It's just, but you're just like, you haven't justified if you want to pay this kind of a price. And in selling, I'm always say, like, oh, okay, Mr. Prospect, so I can see that you would really like to go ahead, but you're still not exactly sure, is it the money? And it's like, yeah, it's the money, like, oh. Anyway, that's another conversation about how to
mm.
sell, right?
Hey, Joey Pinz here. Want to take your podcast experience to the next level? I'm excited to invite you to become a YouTube member. It's the absolute best way to support the channel and enhance your connection. Join our amazing community and unlock the incredible perks, custom loyalty badges, exclusive emojis, and priority comment replies. Your voice will always stand out. Be the first to watch new videos with early access, receive special membership shoutouts, and get exclusive behind the scenes photos and updates. Dive into content available only to our members, special videos, deep dives, and insider perspectives. Engage directly with me. Suggest podcast topics you want to hear, and even get personalized video shoutouts. Hit the join button right now and become part of something special. Let's build this amazing community together. I can't wait to welcome you as a new member. Join the Joey Pinz family today. So, have you ever recently, in the business capacity, had the data, had all the logic, aligned, but your gut told you to do something else?
100%, many
Wow,
times.
really?
Yes, because we all different,
Mm,
but your gut feeling is basically telling you what is the best for you, not
mm,
for other
mm,
people, not
mm,
for someone else, not for your sister. Because You are the only person on this earth that knows you 100%. Your mom doesn't know you 100%, your brother, sister, your wife, no one will know you 100%, only you. And the thing is, you are the best of being you. So always be yourself. So yeah,
Mm,
I always say to people, women are way better in using a gut feelings, right?
yes,
We
yes.
men, we have to learn it. But
Mm,
again, it's practice, right? Just listen to your gut feeling, because it will help you. Because again, it's all your experiences, because you cannot remember everything, right? Our brain have those filters that you're not going to remember everything. You probably don't even remember most things that you done yesterday,
hmm,
100%, because this is how our brain works. But actually your brain do remember everything, but not consciously.
mm,
That's why gut feelings always tell us like, oh, this is good for us, or will tell us, no, 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 don't do it. Unfortunately, most people don't listen to it, and they do, unfortunately, stupid things or stupid
mm.
decisions.
And as long as you learn from it, you can grow. So
Oh yeah.
before I mention, you mentioned, they don't have the time is a common, hurdle for many of these. When I work with a lot of smaller tech firms, and a big problem I see is just delegation. They just
Oh.
Jake, they order the pizza on Friday. I said, look, somebody else can do that. Delegation
Mm,
is very tough. It's their baby. They feel that somebody can't do it as well as they can. How do you break people free from that?
100%. I'm so glad that you say that, because when I work with people and when I teach them time management, I always
Mm,
say delegation is number one on time management skills. Especially as ent- entrepreneurs, we have to learn how to delegate, uh, because today you can almost delegate everything. You
mm,
can have a virtual assistant somewhere on Philippines or from anywhere, actually, right, in the world, that, or one or two. I actually have one virtual assistant and one personal assistant. Um, because yes, you can delegate everything. And some people, they try to do, especially like when I work with people who trying to start a business, right, and let's say they still have a full-time job, they try to do everything themselves, and
mm,
then they're getting lost, and they wasting loads of time. And I always say, like, only concentrate, only do things that you are very good at. You don't have to do everything. Like, um, for example, if you don't like marketing, delegate to a proper agency or to a proper freelancer or
mm,
something. You don't
mm,
have to learn, I don't know, face meta ads or Google ads or TikTok ads or something like that. Everything that can be delegated. And delegation is really important. I
mm,
have this lovely client I'm working at the moment, and he also was like, "Oh, let me let me build my own website, because I'm going to have another skill." But you don't really need that skill.
mm, mm,
Listen, if you will learn how to build website because you're going to build website for other people, sure, go ahead, learn it. But if it's going to be a one thing, only one website or maybe two websites in your entire life, just delegate it and
mm.
concentrate on, for example, getting clients, because at the beginning of every business, that's the most important thing, actually getting sales, getting customers. And then he actually started delegating, and then in one day he closed a client for 87,000
Wow.
pounds, which is like almost 100 k dollars. And
Right.
he said, like, yeah, I have to delegate, because now I've got the money, and I know
Mm,
that if I concentrate on things that I'm good at it, which he's very good at selling, money is not a problem. And again, yes, when you delegate, more often than not, you have to pay it, but it's an investment in you or in your company or in your business, right? So it's not actually that you wasting money, you actually investing money.
Yeah, I generally the 80-20 rule applies. I think if somebody could do it 80% as well as you can, get it off your plate. You just mentioned selling. How are we, I work with a lot of tech firms, so they're these brilliant engineers, and they start companies because, there's a need. But then when you tell them that they have to sell, that sells very dirty word to them. They feel, well, I'm trying to
Mm,
sell something they don't need. And, without sales, you're not going to grow. How do we, re-stigmatize sales and let it know that it's essential and you're actually helping
mm.
people? How do we reframe that, Jake?
What do you use an iPhone or do you use any Apple products? Maybe
Some.
some. Okay. Have you ever been at an Apple shop?
I have.
Yes. Have you ever talked to one of those Apple employees? We call them geniuses, right?
Geniuses. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Have you ever felt that they're trying to push you to buy something, or they've been really like pushy or or salesy? Have you
Not
ever feel
really.
that?
Not
Not
really.
really. Do
Yeah.
you know that those people, those geniuses, they actually have a sales training every day for about 30 to 60 minutes every day. They
Wow.
sales people, but because they sell it, they treating sales like an art.
Hmm.
They trying to help you. This is sale. Sale can be a magical experience if it's done right.
Hmm.
Yes, we have that um, wrong understanding, or some people have that wrong understanding that sales is actually manipulating and trying to push
Right.
someone. Or when you think about a salesman, it's like in the cheapest suit ever you
Right.
can buy, shiny, like you would use a lot of Vaseline or something. But that's not true. Selling could be an amazing experience if it's done right, because if you have the right person in front of you and you have the right service or product, you're actually making them a favor.
You're actually helping them. Yes. That's the
Hundred
thing.
percent, hundred
Yes.
percent. Coming back to that Apple shop, when you go to an Apple shop, you talk to one of those geniuses. They will ask you a lot of really good questions, because that's what sales is all about. You ask a
Mm.
very good question, and then you shut up and listen, and then
Mm.
you figure it out what this person needs, and you will give them what they need. That's as simple as that. That's what the employees at Apple do. They will ask you like, what do you need, who you are. Well, I'm a teacher. Okay, which means you probably need this iPad, maybe not the big one, maybe the this one, right? And how about this, and how about Apple pen, and then they're just trying to help you, and it doesn't feel like selling, it feels like helping.
I remember hearing Daniel Pink once speak about sales and
Mm,
how salespeople, you would think that extroverts would be better salespeople, but introverts do just as well. But the ambivert is the one right in between that really does the best because they listen when they're supposed to and they speak when they're supposed to.
correct.
Yeah, and it's we have to get that kind of stigma out. You're not going to be able to grow without sales, and if your product or service is
Mm.
truly great, you're helping those who are going to want to use it. You have to kind of
Oh
adopt that.
yeah. But again, sales, it's a skill that anyone can learn.
Mm,
If you're an extrovert and you talk too much, you just have to learn to shut up a little bit and
yeah,
listen more.
yeah.
When you are an introvert, well, you have to talk just a little bit more and ask a little bit few more questions. Funny that you say that. More often than not, actually, introvert will be better salespeople than
Yes,
extroverts, because
yes.
selling is asking question and
Uh,
then listening, and that's what introvert does. This is what they do. Every single introvert, that's exactly what he does. He listen. He love introverts. They analyze a lot. They will ask you a question, you will tell them what you need, and they go deeper and deeper and deeper. But you are very right. Someone in the middle, it's a perfect material for a good salesman.
Jake, has there been anything in the last month or so that you changed your mind on?
Yeah, doing podcasts.
Interesting. You didn't want to do them before?
I told myself, and I'm a victim of what I'm just preaching, that I don't have the time.
Uh,
Right, and then I was like, no, 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 that's not true. It just wasn't a priority for me, which means like I need to create that time, which I did. And then I said like, no, I need to do
interesting.
more podcasts. um, I really believe that I have a lot of knowledge and experience, and I should share it with all the with other people, not only one by one, because this is
Mm.
how I do coaching mostly. I love doing one by one. But then I said like, yeah, maybe more people should know those things. And it's not that we're talking about something crazy and then we're discovering new things, right? It's just sharing an experience.
Well, I'm glad you made that switch, and I know anybody listening and watching certainly is. So you mentioned, discipline before. So I started my tech business in the '90s, and I was working way too hard, and
Mm,
putting my health in the back seat, and um, next thing I know, I'm at the doctor's office. I'm at 340 pounds. Oh, I did the conversion once. I was in London. I forgot what the kilo conversion is, but she said, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. So I spent the
Mm,
next 6, 7 months, lost 130 pounds. And, people always, and you've got to, these are lifelong changes. I heard you talk about diet before, and people look at it as something very temporary, but diet
mm.
is what you actually consume. So when you make these changes, it can't be temporary because most people just gain the weight back. It's got to make lifelong changes there. So when I talk about it, people ask me how, and I always say discipline. You've mentioned discipline a couple times as a muscle, but how does discipline play a role in your life, Jake?
Oh, massive! Massive. Um, very often, people ask me like, "Wow, you are so disciplined. How do you do that?" And
Mm,
I would joke that, like, I just drink my discipline shake in the morning, right? It's like, no, no, it doesn't work this way. This again, discipline is like a muscle. You train it every single day. You can start with small things. Sometimes I say, like, people will spend an hour on Netflix choosing a movie to watch, right? Just
mm,
make a fucking decision. It's just, if you're not going to like the movie, you're not going to like it. But just probably in 80%, you have 80% of chances that you're going to like, right? Because that's 80/20 rule. And just watch one. If you're not going to like it, at least you have an experience that you don't like. And if you want to work on discipline, you have to, if you want to be disciplined with big things, you have to be disciplined with small things first, right? And
mm.
so train on small things, right? uh, you know the saying, like, focus only on things that you want to achieve, only floss the teeth that you want to keep, right?
Hmm.
If you want to just keep two, just floss the two. um, but this discipline is something that you have to work on every day, because again, motivation comes and goes.
Mm,
Motivation is like with, like, taking a shower. You have to take it every day,
mm,
because motivation doesn't last. Discipline, yeah, discipline is something that you're doing things even if you don't feel like it.
mm,
Like, for example, you know uh, sometimes no, I have periods in my life, like at the moment, that I run every day, and I do 10 kilometers, which is like just over 6 miles every day. And do I want to do it? No, because running is boring.
yes.
To make it a little bit more interesting, I will listen to podcasts and books and something interesting on YouTube, just to make it more interesting. But do I want to do 6 miles or 7 miles every day? No, I don't. And sometimes, if I feel like, I don't really want to do it, I will say to myself, okay, I'll just do 1 mile or 1 kilometer or something like that. Because the first mile is the worst one. After the
Mm,
first mile, you're like, okay, I can do two. Okay, maybe I can do three. And then eventually, I usually do 6 or 7 miles, right? Because working on discipline, you also have to be smart.
mm,
If you only want to achieve massive, massive things, eventually you're going to give up. That's why in coaching we're saying, like, if you want to eat an elephant, you have to eat it bite by bite,
right.
right? So if you have something big, if you're preparing for something, start small. Start with first step, and then a second, and then the third, right? The journey of the 10,000 steps will start with first step and
Mm,
then second. But some people, they try to jump. And you might be okay with the first jump, you might be okay with the second and third jump, but eventually you're going to break your leg.
hmm.
But the person who is just walking slowly but doing it every single day, they will go very, very far.
Did when you came to the UK at 19 years old, did you already have this view of discipline instilled? Was it something in your childhood, or did you eventually get to it?
Not as it is today, but I started working not because I had to, it was my choice. I started working when I was 13 years old.
Hmm.
Over the weekends, um, sometimes helping my mom in her shop, sometimes working in a company where my older brother, was working, doing all different odd things. Sometimes painting, sometimes just different. I just wanted to have my own money, my own cash, and I just learned that attitude that if you work hard, uh, obviously work smart at the same time, you know, that discipline, right? Like you go to work, you go to school, over the weekends I go to work, and I loved it to be, and I
Mm,
love it till today. I love working. Mm, and but no, so yeah, asking a question, I when I came to the UK, I already have that mindset that
mm,
you have to work, right? Some people have that mindset that they just want to relax all the time, or they want to have that balance. And there's nothing wrong with having balance, but I always say to people, balance you want to have once you already succeeded, because you
mm,
cannot succeed having a balance all the time, because it's not going to work out. It's like succeeding whatever with business. Let's stick to the business, right? If you want to have a successful business, if you want to build really profitable business, it's like taking off from the airport. When the plane wants to take off, you put 100% of power to the engines.
mm,
You take off, you reach your altitude, and then you put the engines into 60%. With the business is exactly the same. You cannot take off with your business when your engines are on 50%, because
mm.
you will stay on the airport forever.
What motivates you, Jake?
Uh, I think the same thing that other people progress. I
Hmm.
think at the end of the day, we we are only happy when we make progress in anything, relationship, with a business, with health, anything. Uh, because when we're not making progress, we're not happy. When you're running a business and you hit the plateau, you're not happy about it, right? You're only happy. It's like, I would say that life is a little bit like a video game. You know, you going from level to level. You constantly leveling up, and that makes you happy, because no one wants to finish the game. We all want to continue playing and making progress.
Mm,
Uh, it's just, a video game is, it's only, let's say, 60 hours. Life is 100 years.
mm,
So that progress sometimes is not that visible to people. They think they plateau, which is not true. Sometimes progress is not visible. I when I was running construction business, I also noticed that sometimes people see progress differently. For example, let's say we're doing a big renovation, so we basically ripped off everything, right? Walls, everything, and people say like, "Oh my god, you make a lot of progress." Well, yes and no. That's actually the easiest part. That's the
mm,
easiest thing to do. And then there was a part that we've been doing plumbing, electric, and people would say like, "Oh my god, you're not doing a lot of progress." No, no, we're doing a lot of progress, very important progress, but it's not visible, because inside it is
mm.
inside the walls, it is in the ceiling, it's in the floor. It's loads of progress, but sometimes progress is not visible.
So, given your motivation of progress, how do you measure success?
Success is different to other people, from person to person, it varies. So, if someone wants to be a teacher and they love what they do, I call it success.
Hmm.
On the other hand, if someone doesn't want to be a teacher, but they are a teacher and they feel horrible about it, I wouldn't call it a success, right? Success is very individual. Success means different things to different people. I personally know people who are financially free, earning less than 10K, $10,000 a month, and I know people who are earning hundreds of thousands a month, and they're not financially
Mm,
secure, and they're not happy, and they're not successful. So it's just, we when we talk about success, we have to ask ourselves what it really means to us, right? Because when we talk about success, we have to go back and talk about the vision. Success means like achieving, or working on your vision, and then achieving your goals. So yeah, it's very difficult to answer what success means. If I want to say in one sentence, I would say success is waking up in the morning and being happy
mm.
and fulfilled.
That's how you measure it?
That's how I measure it. Yes. Again, maybe not, you cannot be happy every day, but you can be fulfilled every day. So
Mm.
being a coach, I love being a coach. I can do it for free, but I don't. And I want to do it forever because I think it's one of the best jobs in the world, helping other people.
So when I asked what motivates you, you said progress, but it really feels like also impact, Jake, is big in your life.
Could be, yeah. But yes, we talk about impact, but that impact is measured by progress.
Mm.
When people
Mm.
actually do progress, even if they don't see it. I had a coaching session last week, and I was talking to this lovely gentleman, and then he said something like, I think we're not making a lot of progress. And I was like, oh, I was waiting for that. And then I said, like, how about this, and how about that, and how about that, and remember what we discussed on the first coaching session. And he said, like, this and that. And I said, like, have we achieved it? And he was like, holy shit, we did.
Mm.
And it's
Mm.
like, yeah, now we have to work on the next stage, on the next goal, on the next part of the vision, right? Because he didn't even notice that.
Mm.
That's why measuring progress is so important, because sometimes we can miss it, that we actually achieved a goal.
Hmm. So when you first meet a candidate, Jake, and you talk to them, do you go right into your visual GPS right away and have them map that out? How do you work with a client?
It
Process.
depends. I mean, uh, you see, I have a system. We've been talking about systems,
Right.
right? So if someone will come and see me for the initial consultation session, they don't know this, but there's a system that they are used to 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 eliminate people I don't really want even talk to.
That's it. That's
uh,
it.
you know but once they come to me, they kind of already um, help me with the right word.
Qualified?
Qualified, yes. Right. And then sometimes my initial consultation will take 15 minutes, and I will say, like, no, sorry, it's not going to work out, we're not the good match. And sometimes
Mm.
my initial consultation can take 4 hours. um, and it's very individual process, because we are, yes, we have similar patterns as human beings, and there's not that many patterns out there. But at the end of the day, we are very individual. Every single person is has its own story, right? And so coaching is a very tailor-made process.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So sometimes I say about Vision GPS straight away, and sometimes I will wait until, I don't know, second, third, fourth session. It all depends. I remember I'm still working with that person. We've been working now 5 years, um, and when he came to my when we met for the first time for the initial consultation session, he said something that, like, this is my goal and this is my goal, but it didn't kind of stick together, if you know what I mean. It was like,
Mm.
no, this is not what you want. Between the lines, I can clearly hear that you want this, this, and this.
Hmm.
And sometimes what I do with my clients is I will I will sell them what they ask for, but I will give them what they need.
Mm.
And after a few years, he actually turns out that his goals were completely different. He was a little bit lost. His vision wasn't clear enough to see those and to make the right decisions. That's
Hmm.
You see, the vision is so important, because whatever your vision is, your decisions will help you achieve it or not. But once you have a vision, you know what to do and what not to do, because you have a decision that needs to be made, and you look at it and you'll be like, will this help me with my vision or not? If not, I'm not going to do it. If
Mm.
it will help me with my vision, I will do it. But because most people, they don't have a vision, they making wrong decisions in life.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Disciplined Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it. I asked you before, Jake, who won't you work with? And you said somebody who's not disciplined. How do you measure that?
You just ask really good, deep questions.
I say.
One of my favorite question, which anybody can take it from this conversation, is like, "What do you mean exactly?"
Mm.
And I go deeper, and I say like, okay, but what do you mean exactly about that? And I will go deeper and deeper and deeper, and this is one of the ways I will figure it out if someone is actually disciplined. There are always signs. There are always indicators out there telling you that like. And also your gut feeling is also helping.
Mm.
I've been working with so many people. I built non-profit organization from 2 volunteers to over 600 volunteers. So I met a lot of people in my life, and I love observing people, watching people, what they do, how they do it. I love psychology. I love Jordan Peterson. It's not that I agree with every single thing that he says, but I'm a fan. He's a very interesting person.
He certainly is.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's Simon Sinek who keeps on asking why. What's the why? What's the why?
And that's a very good question, because sometimes when people say like, oh, my children, they keep asking those stupid questions, like, no, they're not stupid, they're very good question.
Mm.
A question, why do you do that? Why you keep doing those mistakes? It's a very good question. A question why, it's an excellent question. And I'll tell you this: if anybody wants to get better in life, they have to start asking more and better questions.
Mm.
Asking good question is this invisible thing that is helping us achieve or not achieving the success or achieving whatever we want in life. Asking really, really good, deep questions. Because if you ask a very good question, you will come up with a very good answer. And
Mm.
then the deeper you go, the more you understand what is it that you want. If you keep asking yourself, what is it exactly that I want from life? Give yourself a day, 2 week, month, whatever, because building a vision, it doesn't take a day or two. For some people it takes years to come
Mm.
up with a vision for with what they want, especially if we on that autopilot have been working, I don't know, 10 years, living the life on autopilot, doing the same thing every single day, those dreams or goals or those visions that we have, they can get a little bit dusty, or sometimes they can be buried, and we have to work really, really hard to
Mm.
to 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 to, to take it to the surface again. I always say to people, you have to dream big dreams, because you only have one life. When you're going to be 85 years old, sitting on your sofa with your children or wife or anyone, you're only going to regret things that you didn't do.
Mm.
That's it. When people ask me, why would you run 6 miles every day, for example, right? Occasionally, I will even do a half marathon, just going for a jog, and I will do half marathon. And people say, why? Because I can.
Mm.
That's it. If you can, why wouldn't you do that?
I find, Jake, is as I get older, I have a lot more questions than I have answers.
Mm.
That's for sure. Jake, I thank you so much for your time. I love what you're doing. I'm glad you're doing podcasts. You've got a great message. You do great coaching. If anybody's listening and watching, how can they get in touch with you?
Just simply Google my name. Jake Smolarek. You will find my website. You will find my socials. You'll find me everywhere. That's the easiest. That's the easiest way to do.
Jake, Jake Smolarek, SMOLAREK.com. And you're on Instagram as well as some other ones. Jake, I thank you so much for your time. Next time I'm in London, I'll let you know. I'll get a cup of tea.
100%. That would be amazing.
You be well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pin's Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pin's Disciplined Conversations.